Prakash. Thank you for joining the call, Prabhu. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam call. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we are very fortunate. We have His Grace Ram Shraddha Prabhuji from Mayapur, India. And Prabhuji is going to enlighten us from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 13, verse number 15 and 16 onwards. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, you may take over the call when you're ready.
जय हो वंदेहं श्री गुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्री गुरुन् वैष्णवांश श्री रूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान् तां तं सजीव साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देव श्री राधा कृष्ण पाद ललिता श्री विशाखान्तां च ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जन शलाकया चक्षुरुमिलितमेन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निधि नामिने नामस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पार्षद देश तारणे नमो विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत नारायण ति नामने नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ति नामे श्री वासवानवी देवी दहिताय कृपाब्दे कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान दायिने प्रभवे नमः माधुर्योज्वल प्रेमाद्य श्री रूपानुग भक्ति श्री गौर करुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्री मूर्तये दिनतारिणे रूपानुग विरुद्धाप सिद्धांत द्वांतहारिणे पंचकल्पतरुवश कृपा सिंधुभ्यो च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतेशाय नमः पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूप स्वरूप भक्तावतारम भक्ताख्यम नमः भक्ति शक्ति। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपीश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते सप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जयतां सुरतो पंगुर्मोहमंदमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्य पदाम्भोज श्री राधा मदन मोहन दिव्यात् वृंदारण्य कल्पद्रुमद श्रीमद रत्नांगर सिंहासनस्थौ श्री राधा शिल गोविंद देव प्रेषकाल की सेव्य मानो स्मरण श्रीमंदासर सारंभी वंशीवत ततस्थित कर्षण वेणु स्वनर गोपी गोपीनाथ श्री वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशव सचा कृष्ण भक्ति पदे पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्त रूप सर्वगम भक्तावतारम भक्ताख्यम नमामि भक्ति शक्तिकम। जय बोलो सब लोग बोलिए जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर सदी गौर हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 प्लीज रिपीट हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्ण
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे कृष्ण हरे राम राम हरे हरे।
जय हो श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय श्रील गुरुदेव की जय गौरतान की जय अंतरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसलेशन एंड परपोर्ट्स की जय हो गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल कल्पतरुवसि कृपा सिंधु पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। So this is a very interesting chapter, chapter 13, description of future Manus, and in every there is a whole combination. It's like when Modi becomes prime minister, he has a team of people who are different ministers accepting different portfolios. In the material world, practically every country has it. Trump also has his team of people. But in the management, in the macro management of the universe, similarly, there are teams. With each Manu, there's a team of people. For example, I'll just read it. In the period of the 9th Manu, the Manu is Daksha Savarni. His sons are headed by Bhuta Ketu, and among the demigods are the Marichi Garbhas. Adbhuta is the Indra, and among the 7 sages is Jyutiman. And in this period of Manu, the incarnation of Rishabha is born of Ayushman and Ambudara. So every Manu, that is 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, all this Manus, 12th Manu, 12th Manu, it says, in the period of the 12th Manu, the Manu is Rudra Savarni, whose sons are headed by Devavan. The demigods are the Haritas, and the others, Indra is Ritadharma, and the 7 sages are Tapomurti and others. The incarnations in this Manvantara is Sudhama or Swadhama, who is born from the womb of Sunrita. His father's name is Satyasaha. So you can see 14 Manus, and each one has a whole team of people to help Manu manage. This is how Krishna is the best manager. He is sitting in the spiritual world, dancing. There is no Manus, there is no Indra, no nothing. But in the material world, you require management, because material world is a flux of the 3 modes of 3 gunas of nature, sattva, rajas, tamas, and this has to be always controlled. You have to have more sattva if you want some good level of religiosity. And rajas, the kshatriyas have this rajas quality. They are governors, and those who are tamasic, they are generally asuras. That doesn't mean they just drink and lie down like bums, no, not like that. But they're tamasic because they're against the will of the Lord. So this is a very important chapter, which gives a description of future Manus. Because everything is described here. Even the Manu who is ruling now, there is Vivashwan, the sun god, his son is Manu now. And that is only this Manu. But then what about the future Manus? It's already, everything is written and clearly. Because these type of souls, they take birth in specific families, from specific sages. And that's how the Krishna maintains this universe. Because he gives power to the demigods, not to the asuras. The asuras are always trying to fight with the demigods. There's a constant fight, asuras versus the suras. You cannot help it. That's the way nature is made like that. Therefore, one has to see how to understand how the nature functions, and then accordingly regulate our life. You cannot expect so-called peaceful world, because unless you are in Satya Yuga. But even in Satya Yuga, the Krishna has to come to kill some demons then also. So you have to understand that the fighting between the demons and the demigods is going on since time immemorial. In every yuga it is like that. In Kali Yuga, a lot of demons are taken birth because people don't follow any rules and regulations of some scars or anything. And then you have a whole bunch of demons, and they are constantly fighting for even slightest cause. And they kill each other, and they eat everything, they drink a lot. And the women, they dress also in such a way that agitates the mind of the men. And the men are not having discipline of controlling the mind and senses. Therefore, everything is in a confused state of existence. Therefore, in this age of Kali, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has descended to show, Krishna has descended as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to show compassion on us, because we cannot follow any more rules and regulations. We're so unruly by nature. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and is called Patita Pavana. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurati Shena. The living entity by nature is Krishna conscious, because he's part and parcel of Krishna. But now we have forgotten Krishna. Therefore, having forgotten, in many different incarnations, he has established his supremacy, Aishwarya, his power. But when Krishna was there, he also established that he is the Supreme Lord. Everybody should surrender to me. Sarvadharman Parijata. But now, how many people surrendered? So in Kali Yuga, this will increase even more. Nobody wants to surrender. But Krishna is kind, is all merciful, that he made a method which simply by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, everything can be resolved. This is his costless mercy. Otherwise, if we have to study the Vedas and all these things, we will never be able to do in one lifetime, for nothing will happen, not even in many lifetimes. So now today's verse is verse number 13th and 14th. So now we'll see. The previous verse and the verse number 11, we Ashtame antara ayate swa savarnir bhavita manu nirmoka virajaskadhya savarni tanaya nripa. O king, when the period of the 8th Manu arrives, Savarni will become the Manu, Nirmoka and Virajaksha will be among his sons. Purport, this present reign is that of Vaivashvata Manu. According to the astronomical calculation, we are now in the 28th Yuga of Vaivashvata Manu. Each Manu lives for 71 yugas, and 14 such Manus rule one day of Lord Brahma. We are now in the period of Vaivashvata Manu, the 7th Manu, and the 8th Manu will come into existence after many millions of years. But Sukadeva Goswami, having heard from the authorities, foretells that the 8th Manu will be Savarni, and that Nirmoka and Virajaksha will be among his sons. Shastra can foretell what will happen millions and millions of years ago in the future. This is a bigger picture. That's why we have to consult Shastra. Otherwise, we live in our small little world of our mind, and then we'll come with all sort of theories. There is no God, everything by nature functions. They like the communist philosophers and all these things. They're also called philosophers. Basically, they're mental speculators. They cannot do anything but speculate. And our friend Premaras is here, and we were morning discussing about Greek philosophers and this, and they all came up with a different philosophical concept. They went at the most maximum to impersonal Brahman. You see, they cannot understand how God has a form. Even though Bible says very clearly, man is made in the image of God, but they're reading Bible, but they don't know the form of the Lord. Then they ascribe that form to Jesus. But Jesus' activities are very limited compared to the activities of pastimes of Krishna. His rasa dance and lifting the mountain, Govardhan, and so many rasas, Sakya ras, Vatsalya ras, Madhuri ras. This is no mention of that. Out of basically most of them, he is more compassionate. Among Muslims, it is more out of fear of God they are to worship God. Fear of God is very prominent. Whereas in Vedic culture, there is love for Krishna. So many pastimes are there in the Shastras, especially in Bhagavatam. So now we'll read. Verse 12 says, in the period of the 8th Manu, among the demigods will be the Sutapas, Virajas, and the Amrita Prabhas. The king of the demigods, Indra, will be Bali Maharaj, the son of Virochana. Even he will become, even though he fought with Indra and took over the heavenly planets, then finally he also gets, okay, you want to be Indra, okay, become Indra. Then he'll be an Indra. So how this group of people, ministers and finance ministers, as a whole team that is managing the affairs of the whole universe. And that also goes for millions of years, not small 100 years or 50 years. Like Trump is a president, but in 4 years he'll be out of the place, or even before that itself. Very small time. Whereas we are talking about management, which is comprising of millions of yugas. There's 71 yugas. Each Manu has life of 71 yugas. Can you imagine that? We cannot even comprehend with our little brain.
500,000 Manus in one lifetime.
500,000 Manus in one lifetime of Brahma. Just imagine. Because see, material world, bodies are temporary. Therefore, Brahmas or even Manus, they all have to die sometime. They have to give up the body. Then who will continue the management? These personalities will be appearing, the sages to give them advice, 7 sages. And all these things are going on. And nowadays, there is no such thing. Sages are out of question. They're specialists, they advise, they are all also asuras. Like Kamsa had asuras. When he finally agreed, he apologized to Vasudeva and Devaki that he has done so much harm. What can be done? Providences like this, like that. And when he goes to his ministers and he tells them, this is what happened yesterday. And immediately they said, okay, we have to immediately plan to kill all the children who are born within 10 days. So because there he is a demon, his advisor is also demoniac. So that is what is happening nowadays. Everywhere they are fighting, they cannot remain peaceful. Whereas Vedic culture, which is a culture of knowledge, Sattva Guna is very strong, and therefore people are naturally peaceful. If you take your grandfather or great-grandfather in that generation, they're very peaceful. They're happy with the little things of life. Not that everybody has a skyscraper building and big flats. To make these flats, you have to dig somewhere a hole to get all this sand and bricks and this and that. None of this was there. They lived very simply. We were 8 members. We were in our family. We lived in a 2-room apartment. Not even apartment, it's a small ground floor. 8 people sleeping and eating and nice. And there were no gas stoves, only cast iron stoves. Put some coal and coconut. Every day you buy coconut, naturally everything is saved. The coconut is used for lighting the stove. And they used to cook breakfast, lunch, dinner, and everything, and the tiffin for all the children to take them to school. And they had no grinders also, only stone grinders. Everything, wet spicing, dry spicing, powder, everything is made in the same grinder. So how they did it? I remember in my Hyderabad, next to my house is a haras, it means auction, where all the vegetables and fruit. And in about 50 to 100 bullock carts will come. So when they come, naturally the bulls, they pass dung. At one point, there's hay everywhere, so they have to clear up the dung for the next day. And they are all in one straight line. There's 50 bullock carts, they come. Only the first one is very careful, watching, make sure it goes in straight. All the bullock cart drivers, they're sleeping in the bullock carts. So we were managing. Nowadays they have trucks and this and that, but there was no trucks at all. No petrol, no pollution, only cow dung. But then they thought, well, cow dungs are contaminating everything. They did not know the value of cow dung. So now we are having bigger type of pollution. Ozone logs, whatnot. You cannot imagine what all is going on. Instead of using the cow dung for burning fuel and everything, they are just leaving it in America, they have thousands of cows, they graze in 1,000-acre land. And they produce methane gas, and the methane gas goes up into the atmosphere, and they make them ozone holes. And that's why the ultraviolet rays of the sun, which has to be protected by there's a hole there, it comes right through. Therefore, the temperature of the Earth planet increases. And nowadays they are seeing that climate change, snow is melting, they say everything is topsy-turvy because they don't know how to take care of cows. So they want to kill cows and create problems, and then they create problems for themselves. So this is a special thing. Huh? Asuric, very Asuric. Text 13. Please repeat after me. Datvemam Haribol. You're having a books in front of you, like a silent zone there, nothing happening there.
Yes, Prabhu, once again.
Yeah.
Verse number?
Verse number 13.
13.
Datvemam
Tatvivam
Yachamanaya Vishnave Yaha Padatrayam Radham Indrapadam Hitva Tatahas
Tatah
siddhim
siddhim
avapsyati.
avapsyati.
Okay, translation. Bali Maharaj gave a
Hare
gift
Krishna
of
Prabhu,
three.
one second.
Uh,
Sorry for for this. Actually, we were supposed to start from the 15th verse, if I'm correct.
in my telephone, it came 13th and 14th. No problem. No harm in reading again. No problem.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
do that.
that's fine, Prabhuji. Yes. Sorry for interrupting. Yeah, please continue.
No problem. Bali Maharaj gave a gift of 3 pieces of land to Lord Vishnu. And because of this charity, he lost all the 3 worlds. Later, however, when Lord Vishnu is pleased because of Bali Maharaj giving everything to him, Bali Maharaj will achieve the perfection of life. That's how he becomes Indra. Got this post. In the Bhagavad Gita 7:13 purport, it is stated, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschitati siddhaye. Out of millions of people, one may attempt to achieve success in life. This success is explained here. Radham Indra Padam Itva Tata Siddhim Avapsyati. Siddhi consists of achieving the favor of Lord Vishnu, not the yoga siddhis. The yoga siddhis, Anima Lagima, Mahima Prapti Prakamya Ishitva Vashistva and Kama Vashishyata are temporary. The ultimate siddhi is to achieve the favor of Lord Vishnu. That's how he becomes Indra. Because when he's Indra, the Lord himself comes to the world. And Indra has problems, Krishna takes incarnation. Just imagine, Krishna is so close with the demigods because they are his agents to manage things. So now, text 14. Yo asau bhagavata baddha. Please repeat.
Yo aso bhagavata buddha
Pritena sutale punaha
pritena sutale
niveshito adike swargad
Niveshito adike swargad
adunaste swarad idva.
adhunaste
adinaste swaradiva.
Translation. With great affection, the personality of God had bound Bali and then installed him in the kingdom of Sutala, which is more opulent than the heavenly planets. Maharaj Bali now resides on that planet and is more comfortably situated than Indra. Now comes today's verse, 1560. Huh?
You know, the Lord himself, he binds you. Everybody wants to bind Krishna also, but he's also binding his devotee.
Yes. Yeah. It's
You
an
cannot
interesting.
escape.
Premaras is telling an interesting point. He is here with me in the class. That everybody wants to bind Krishna, like Krishna was bound by Mother Yashoda. But in this case, the Lord himself bound Bali Maharaj. It is not ordinary things that Krishna has to take the trouble to bind somebody. But Krishna took that trouble. See, even in the Braj pastimes, in the spiritual world, nobody, especially in Vaikuntha, nobody binds Krishna. There is no such pastime. So, and even there is no demons also. In the Goloka Vrindavan, there is no demons or something. But if he has a desire to fight, all these other desires of Krishna is fulfilled in the material world. Therefore, he comes into the material world. But simultaneously, he is performing this pastime so that the devotees, those who are suras, they will hear about it and see those pastimes, and they become purified. And then the desire within them awakens to associate with Krishna. And therefore starts the journey to go back home, back to God. Other, if Krishna would not show, where is any desire for anybody? We will think the material world is comfortable anyhow. It's temporary, but let us die, it doesn't matter. There's no higher purpose of living. The higher purpose is to go back home, back to God. But how? By associating and hearing about Krishna's pastime. Like Maharaj Parikshit was there in a very precarious situation. In 7 days, he was about to die by a snake bite, and Krishna sent Shukadeva Goswami. There was Vyasadeva was there, Narada Muni was there, everybody was there, but they were all waiting for because he was Rasik and Bhavuk devotees. And therefore, he described the whole Bhagavatam so that the living entities like us, we are sitting now in Kali Yuga, we hear what Shukadeva Goswami has spoken and Prabhupada has written with so much trouble. So it's meant to awaken the desire, the greed, laulyam. This is the primary quality that is required to go back home, back to God. You cannot just follow some rules and go back to God. That doesn't work. You have to have a greed to come to Krishna. You have to have a greed to chant Hare Krishna. You have to have a greed to hear Bhagavatam. And you have to have a greed to associate with such devotees who are Bhavuk and Rasik. See, if you don't have that greed, like Prabhupada had so much greed. He wrote, he used to get up so early in the morning and translate these books. How many people can do? We need our 6 hours of rest. By the time we start our day, it's already half day is finished. But Prabhupada was not like that. He had so much greed because he wanted to fulfill the order of his guru and he wanted to fulfill the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Every town and village, and he made these books. He said it's the law books for next 10,000 years. How can he make something like that? Because he had this greed to save the living entities. He was, because being a Vaishnava, pure devotee, he was very compassionate. You know that devotee, what is it? Vasudev Ghosh, I think, who said he was requesting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to liberate all the living entities. Prahlad also. And then he said, if you think they are not qualified, they are so sinful, transfer their sins on me. So Prabhupada said, this is Vaishnava. They are not thinking about their own going back home back. But their business is to deliver the living entities by distributing the mercy of the Lord in the form of Harikatha, Bhagavatam. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Very important. And if we don't do that, then, okay, we may be pious enough, but that laulyam will not come in our heart, which is the chief ingredient to go back home, back to God, to chant the holy name of the Lord. With Sambandha Gyan and laulyam has to be there. Then things will speed up much faster. But it's not like a passionate laulyam, but it's a laulyam which comes very deep. Those who have laulya, they think they have no greed. These are the feelings of Uttama Bhagavatans.
You have to get it from somebody who has.
Yeah. And that's, of course, laulyam is not something which comes on our own effort. We have to associate with somebody who has that laulyam. It's like, if you want to become a millionaire, you have to first associate with some millionaires. Otherwise, where will the greed come to you to make million or billion? Like our Trump is running around all over the planet, trying to make a deal to buy this property, that property, green land, what land, because he is so greedy character, He doesn't care what others feel. Keep on putting tariffs and making life miserable for everybody. It's like a special avatar of misery, Avatar of misery. He is himself miserable and he makes everybody miserable. I drown, but okay, I will not drown alone. I'll take a few million people. Actually, he has a lot of material problems. He cannot think, right, and his feet is all under heavy medication. He is walking around. So this is the nature of the Kali Yuga entities, the leaders. So text 15 and 16. Kalavo Deeptiman Ramo Dronaputra Kripastata Rishya Shringa Pitasmakam Bhagavan Badarayana Ime Saptarishayas Tatra Bhavishyanti Swayogata Idanim Asate Rajan Sweswa Ashrava Mandale. O king, during the eighth Manvantara, the great personalities Galava, Deeptiman, Parashurama, Ashwatthama, Kripacharya, Rishashinga, and our father Vyasadeva, the incarnation of Narayan, will be the 7 sages. For the present, they are all residing in their respective ashrams. And some of these sages have already appeared, even though they will live for yugas, After this Manu goes, the next session of sages come. They're already living. It's not like they have to take birth then. They are doing their tapasya, their austerities, whatever it is, and they are all fit candidates to become advisors for the demigods. You know, and Indra, especially they may make the mention of Indra also, who will be the Indra among these personalities. You know, and especially which Indra, that name of that, because Indra is a post actually, and that post will be transferred to the next person.
Devoted soul.
Yeah. Huh?
A devoted soul.
Yeah, devoted soul. But he can fulfill the dream or the desire of Krishna. You see, like Prabhupada fulfilled the desire of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. There are many disciples, but somehow he took the order so seriously and he spread and he was empowered. Rupa Goswami personally appeared. Go, I made all arrangements for you. So if you have that level of faith in Guru, and we have seen in many cases that South Indian Brahmin, he had so much faith, he was illiterate. And he was holding the Bhagavad Gita topsy-turvy, everything. But because he was following the order of Guru, even though he was illiterate, his Guru said, no, you read Bhagavad Gita. He doesn't know how to read and write. But he had so much faith that the picture of Krishna riding the chariot of Arjuna comes and he becomes overwhelmed with love. So how magnanimous Krishna is, that he is ready to become the chariot driver of his own disciple Arjuna. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu notices some tears coming. Said, yes, when I see this picture, tears come, how great Krishna is. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you're the perfect student of Bhagavad Gita. And he was embracing. Not that he was quoting Shastras to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just that faith in Guru. So strong, Guru and Krishna. That's why we say Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. First the Guru's faith has to come. Then faith in Krishna. But it is Krishna's arrangement, he sends you a Guru. But you will not know Krishna until you have faith in Krishna. So it's very important, these things, to understand. This chapter is describing all these things. And then we'll read the 17th one also. Deva Goyat Saraswatyam Sarvabhauma iti Prabhu Sthanam Puran Purandarat Rditva Palaye Dasya Yatishvara. In the 8th Manvantara, the greatly powerful personality of Godhead, Sarvabhauma, will take birth. His father will be Deva Guya and his mother will be Saraswati. He will take the kingdom away from Purandara, Lord Indra, and give it to Bali Maharaj. All this far out understanding. And also in every case it is mentioned, so-and-so will be the personality of God as Sarvabhauma will take birth. Sarvabhauma will take birth, and his father and mother's name is also mentioned. So it was a proper line of personalities for a proper father, proper mother, not like nowadays. Many people don't know whose father, whether whose the father is to begin with, because the mother has slept with so many people. Somehow somebody became impregnated. So it's a whole confusion nowadays because there's no control of senses and mind. And these personalities, they are so pious that the Lord himself comes into their family, not ordinary people. We have the good fortune of hearing this description of the future Manus, so that we'll also identify with this culture of devotees who have appeared in the past, who will appear in the future, and who are there in the present. You know, we may be very familiar, oh Prabhupada, but we don't know how great he is. We don't know much about him, except what our eyes meet. That's all we know. You know, we don't know his spiritual form. Nikunj, you know, Ratikeli, Siddhai. We don't know, have no idea how he's engaging in the Kunja pastimes. He would sing this very favorite song, Shri Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Gopi Jana Vallava Girivaradhari. So we don't know what all he does in his mind. He's serving Krishna both here in the material world, in the sadhaka daya, and in the spiritual world is serving Krishna in the spiritual form. But Prabhupada did not openly talk about the subject matter because the followers were not so qualified yet. But as time goes by, he revealed certain things to Gaur Govinda Maharaj. And he knew Prabhupada's transcendental form, and he was very emphatic about that he was a maid servant of Radharani. So these are all some things which we have to understand in a deeper level so that we become fixed in our process of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, what happens, we will take it for granted. We think we are already chanting our 16 rounds and we expect to go back home, back to Godhead. That is only a minimum 16 rounds. That is not the maximum. Minimum 16 rounds. We're supposed to come at least in this lifetime 64 rounds. Then we'll have question, Prabhu, then how can I go to job? This, so many questions will come into our mind. And we don't reduce our sleep because our lifestyle is so chaotic and so stressful. We need to sleep a lot. So how can you perfect your Krishna consciousness? By causeless mercy. But causeless mercy is only given to those who are qualified, not to unqualified people who don't value the process of Krishna consciousness. We may be unqualified right now, but slowly we have to build up our qualification. Our adhikar has to come up from Kanishta Adhikari to Madhyam Adhikari and then to Uttam Adhikari. Otherwise, we'll remain in the Kanishta platform. Kanishta platform means all types of offenses happen. Nama Aparad, Dhama Aparad, Seva Aparad, Vaishnava Aparad. All these 4 types of aparad. And then how can you recognize who is more advanced? We will not have the ability to recognize these things. So therefore, there is a 3 levels of devotees, Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam. And each of them is again divided into 3 parts. Kanishta, Madhyam, Kanishta, Uttam. Then Madhyam, Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam. Then Uttam, Kanishta, Uttam, Madhyam, Uttam. Like for example, Narada Muni, when he was a son of a maid servant, and he saw the form of the Lord in the heart. So at that level was Uttam Kanishta. And later on, he became Uttam. When he was Narada Muni, he traveled all over the world, liberating all the living entities. He was Uttam. So many people know Prabhupada as a saintly person, this and that, but actually his spiritual position, we have to understand, somehow by his mercy. It is by the mercy of the sun, only we get sunshine, and with the sunshine, our eyes have the ability to see. Otherwise, without sunshine, we cannot see. In the dark, now it is dark, we cannot go in the dark. So we have to make some arrangement of lights. That in the light of the sun, everything happened. Previously, there was no electricity. People depended exactly on the nature. The Sandhya, then some Arati, then put the Lord, then they, with a little oil lamp, they read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. People were leading like that life. So at this point, I'll stop and ask for some questions and comments from your side. Hari Bol. Jai Ho.
Hare Krishna Guruji, Dhanno Pradam. Very
Jai
nice
Ho.
class you've given and explained all the verses. So one thing I was wondering, like we have all these Manus during the one day of Brahma, 14 Manus, and they have like in each Manu has 71 um, Chaturyuga cycle, right?
Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, like as you know, like all these devatas, they have their place to rule. Like Indradev and all, they are in
Yeah.
Swargalok. Brahmaji has his own abode. So, what is the place for the Manus? Like where do they reside actually? Which area of the universe? This 14 planetary system, where do they reside actually?
They reside in the heavenly planets. This is Manu is not an ordinary person. They reside in the heavenly planets, and each demigods and each personalities, they have their own abode also. Like Indra has his abode, Varuna has his abode, Manu has his own abode. And where exactly we cannot say how to point where he stays there. We cannot say that. At least there is no such information. But Manu has his own loka. And he is ruling from there. And he is the father of mankind also. Manu, man came from the word Manu. So exactly where exactly he stays, I myself not aware of it. But definitely he has an abode. Everybody has an abode. Even we have our little home wherever we are staying. So what to speak of? Even the birds and the bees, they have their little nest in the tree. They live there. Everybody has their little abode, a place to stay, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending goes on there. Similarly, Manu also. Exactly part of the world, which part of the universe is situated, I don't remember to have heard that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna devotees, please, you may ask your question. You can unmute and you can share your realization or any comments, any question you have.
Yeah. Amritamani Devidasi. Do you have any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Ashwadhama, is it the same Ashwadhama who is in?
Same Ashwadhama. Same Ashwadhama. Same Ashwadhama.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Haribol.
Even though he did, see what happens, sometimes great devotees are also like Bali Maharaj himself was against Indra. He was even gave this charity to Vaman Dev. Then as a reward he went to Sutala. Then later on he became, as a gift he became Indra also. So sometimes they act like demons, but then later on they become great devotees also. Especially if they are having direct experience, direct touch with the Supreme Lord, like Vaman Dev. So from our estimation, we put everything in boxes. But somebody may be very fallen now, but who knows, from within he will realize something and he acquires Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy, he'll become a great devotee also. A great devotee doesn't mean you are in the YouTube every day. No. Great devotee means somebody who remembers Krishna all the time. That's all. He may be famous or not famous. Most of the time, the great devotees, they are not famous. For example, our one who wrote Krishna Karnamrit, Bilvamangal Thakur. Now, what was his audience when he was singing these songs? Only Krishna is the only one person listening to him. It was not like everybody having a camera running around with making movies. Nowadays, it's happening, common. Any neophyte devotee, he speaks on the YouTube. What is his adhikar? God knows. They think they can speak a few words and it's good enough. Or we are preaching, Prabhu. Yeah, it's good. But why don't they speak at least when we were new devotees, there was no cameras, no nothing. Every temple you have to speak about Bhagavatam, hear about Bhagavatam. That was it. So that was with the great devotees are very simple. Not everybody knows. Prabhupada was a special personality. He was very famous also. Sometimes Krishna can give his fame to the devotees of caliber. Everybody, but we can become great simply by following the process of Krishna consciousness. In your own house, you can be a great devotee. Why not? But not everybody in the world will know about you. You should be convinced that you are serving Krishna, who is the supreme personality of Godhead. It is so rare. Krishna himself said, out of the many jnanis, hardly one knows me in truth. And out of the many siddhas, hardly one knows me in truth. If siddhas, who are perfected souls, there are millions of siddhas, and out of that one may know him. So not everybody has to know you. You have to be on YouTube or here or there. Simply be fixed in the process of hearing, chanting, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam. Be fixed in that process. Worship the Lord every day and offer flower garlands if possible, tulsi garlands or tulsi leaves, that is lotus sweet. That's all we have to do that. We don't have to do anything else. Krishna openly says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. Why should he say? He doesn't say make a big temple and make this, make that. No. Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. In your own house, you can be that wonderful devotee. Any other questions?
Hare
Prabhu,
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so
Jai
much
Ho.
for today's call, Prabhu, and response to Amritamani Mataji's question. Prabhu, you exactly spoke what I was thinking about. Like in this world, we see people are after, even in devotee circles, we feel sometimes that people are after so much after recognition. Like people have to know that we are doing this and we are this competition everywhere. And what you
Yes.
said was very comforting, that we should do everything for as a service to Prabhupada. Whatever we do, it doesn't have to be publicized. Nobody should needs, like, it's okay if people know, but we don't have to make efforts for people to know what we are doing and for earning that glorification. If we do it in service to Prabhupada, we don't care who knows who do. We know in our heart that we are sincerely doing whatever Prabhupada has advised us, and we still feel his presence. We feel his presence
Yes.
in everything around us. So we don't have
Yes.
to go around earning, like asking for recognition. If we are
Yes.
sincere, we don't care. Like, so thank you so
See,
much. It was very empowering.
the point is, if you are sincere and we are following the principle, one of the principle is pray for Vaishnava association. You have to get especially very high class Vaishnavas. If you are fortunate, we come across Uttam Bhagavat or advanced Vaishnavas. Because whatever you're doing, whether you're doing in the right way or not, that will only be put into proper line in that company of such high class Vaishnavas. Otherwise, everybody thinks I am doing bhakti. But even in bhakti, there are a lot of anarthas are there that has to be removed, and by that removal of anarthas comes from the association of, Diksha Guru or Shiksha Guru or something like that. So we should seek for the association of advanced devotee. What does Krishna says in the Shikshamrita? Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kame, mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhakti rahoyatu kitoi. Srinadapi sunichana tarorapi sahishnu namanena manadena kirtane. He says, very in the Sikshashtakam is a wonderful prayer. Every verse is loaded with such beautiful meanings. So you should follow that. And it's not like we don't care. Our care is, when will a Vaishnava come to my house? Somebody who is very advanced, who can guide, who can rectify, because I may think I'm doing the right thing, but maybe it requires a little rectification, little correction, and that has to be there. So you have to have constant association of very high class Vaishnavas. That is our only prayer. Because sadhu sangha sarva shastra koi, lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoi. That siddhi comes from sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha means one who is more advanced than I am. Otherwise, we may think we are great devotees. That we have to avoid that folly. Okay?
Prabhu, I have a question. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. Prabhu, in the future, like it is told in the Bhagavatam, there are future Manus and all that. So that means even though we see the situation, the world, the religiosity is degrading by leaps and bounds. Nobody is attracted towards doing bhakti and all. Still, this confirms that bhakti and devotees are going to survive and live for eternity, right?
Sure, why not? I see, we are only seeing the very small picture of this one planet of Kali Yuga. But there were millions of Kali Yugas were there. In every life of Brahma, how many thousands of Kali Yugas came. So Kali Yuga is not something new. It's been there. And during Kali Yuga, the time factor works in a different way. That's why there are 4 yugas: Satya, Dwapara, Treta, and Kali. So Kali Yuga, the problems will, but then every Kali Yuga, there will be an incarnation of the Lord. Gaur Narayan is called that incarnation. And this Kali Yuga is very special because immediately after Krishna's closing the Dwapara Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna appeared as a devotee to show us how to serve Krishna as a devotee. The whole Chaitanya Charitamrita is about how to advance Krishna consciousness. So this is a very important. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself comes us to teach us by his own example what it means to be a devotee. You read Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities is not setting up factories and workshops, something like that. No, simply performing devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. And he is associating with whom? Ramananda Roy, Swarup Damodar. Who are they? Lalita and Vishaka. So he himself is also, and he is taking great pleasure in associating with such devotees. And he is constantly asking them questions so that he gives them the intelligence to answer the question, but he likes to hear the answers also. Similarly, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. So when the Prabhu Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to go to Vrindavan, he was thousands of followers following him. Then Sanatana Goswami advised, when you go to a place like a holy place of pilgrimage, don't go with so many followers. It's not good. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took only one servant and he left. So even Sanatana Goswami is advising Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he likes to associate, Krishna himself likes to associate with his devotees. This Chatushloki of Bhagavad Gita, I'll see if I can. In the 10th chapter.
Yeah, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo.
Let me see. 10th chapter.
Which verse, Prabhu?
8, 9, 10, 11.
No, but which verse are you looking for, Prabhu? Tesham Satata Yuktana. Are you looking for that one?
Yeah, 1 second. 10th chapter, 10th chapter. Okay.
10, 8, 10, 9, 10, 11. Yeah.
10, 10, 8, 10, 9.
10, 9, 10, 10, 10, 11.
Yeah, 1 minute. Tesham Satata Yuktana.
Tesham Evanukampartham. Is that the one you're looking for?
Yes, also, these are 3. Therefore,
Priti
those
Purvakam.
who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. And the verse after that, Tesham Satata Yuktanam, Tesham Evanukampartam Aham Jnana Jamtamaha Nashayami Atma Bhavasta Jnana Deepena Bhaswata. Now, here the translation is, out of compassion for them, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Now, this is one translation which Prabhupada has given. Now, his own god brother, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, who is his Shiksha Guru, he said, this is a general translation. But actually, the previous 2-3 verses, it says, Matchit Matgata Prana Bodhayansa Paraswaram Katayantasya Maham Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. And then Tesham Satatu Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upayanti. So these 2 verses describe the activities of Swakiya Bhav and Parakya Bhav. This Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha, he describes it as Swakiya Bhav. And Upayantite comes from Upapati Bhav, that is Paramar love. So Sridhar Maharaj says, how come these 2 devotees, these categories of devotees are in darkness of ignorance? It's not possible. Because they are constantly thinking of the Lord and constantly engaging in discussing about the Lord. So what is this ignorance Krishna is talking about? And he gives a wonderful explanation. He said, Krishna is actually looking for those type of devotees who feel great separation. And the ignorance or the darkness comes from the separation which they feel towards Krishna. So Krishna is going with a lamp and trying to discover which devotee has separation from me. That is Brajabhav. In Braj, the devotees feel separation from Krishna, especially the gopis. So that one level of explanation which Bhakti Rakshidhar Maharaj is astoundingly amazing. So not many people do that. He had give two translations of this verse. One is the normal translation, one is the special translation, which I have that book, but I have to find out where it is. Let me see if I have. Let me check it out in 1 minute. Just hold on. I got it. The book, I have it with me. I will read it to this. In his whole Bhagavad Gita, he has not given any purport to anything except these 4 verses. I will show you this. I'll read it to you. Can you relish it? Then, okay. Okay. Matchita madgata prana bodhayansa parasparam tushyant katayantas mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Those surrendered devotees take me as their life and soul and go on discussing my ambrosial narrations among one another, exchanging the ecstasies of devotion unto me. They constantly relish the nectar of their realized divine relationships with me in their respective internal natures of servitorship, friendship, parenthood, or consorthood. Commentary. The Supreme Lord Krishna is speaking about his pure devotees. Matchitta madgata prana. I am in their hearts, heart of hearts, and in their every thought. Their entire energy, their whole life is dedicated to me, my satisfaction. In the private life, they converse about me to mutually enlighten one another. And in public life also, they always love to talk about me and nothing else. For every time and place and circumstances, I am the only subject of their discussion. Tushyanticha, they find very much satisfaction up to the divine relationship of parenthood, Vatsalya Bhav. There is a feeling of satisfaction. Furthermore, Ramanticha, just as a wife enjoys the conjugal relationship with her husband, the devotees similarly feel such ecstasy in my intimate company when speaking about me. This has also been explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, and Srimad Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogatam yena mamapayante. The translation is, to those devotees who are constantly dedicated to me and who engage in my service out of their love for me, I bestow the internal divine inspiration by which they can approach me and render various intimate service unto me. In this verse, the commentary is, in this verse, the Lord says the highest group of my servitors whose sentiment was described in the previous verse by the word Ramanti are those who are constantly engaged in Satatam Yukta, in my service in consorthood, Madhuraras, with heartfelt love, Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. Then he says that he will give them further inspiration or inner instruction by which they can come to him. Yena Maham Upayanti Te. When already in this and in the previous verse, the devotee's service to the Lord has been described as eternal by the words Nityam, Satata Yukta, Lord Krishna's statement that he will give them further inspiration by which they can come to him appears to be redundant. Therefore, in the expression Mam Upayanti Te, they will come to me, the word Upayanti must be defined as Parakya Bhavena Upapati Bhav. Pati means husband Upapati means paramour. See, he goes to such beautiful details. For those who have already come into the divine relationship with me as a wife, Ramanti, I give them the special inspiration to come to me as a paramour, Upapati. In Vrindavan, Lord Krishna is not considered a lawful husband, but he is the Lord of the heart, transcendental to even the husband, Parakya Rasa. Deceiving their husbands, the gopis of Vrindavan unite with Krishna. They do not allow a second party to come between them and Krishna. They cannot allow the interception of even scriptural regulation and social law because Krishna's position is absolute, and such a relationship is more valuable to him. This is Vrindavan Bhajan, and this is the meaning of Upapati. I mean, the purport is very long, and this, especially this darkness of ignorance. Tesham satata yuktanam, tesham evanu kampartam aham ajnana jamtamaha. Naishayami atma bhavasya bhavasto jnana deepena bharata. One variety of, one translation is, out of compassion for them, I situated within the hearts of all living beings, dispel the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of knowledge. 2. The second translation of the same verse is, being conquered by the love of those devotees who in the most elevated position of non-calculative loving devotion, jnana shunya prema bhakti, are afflicted by all-devouring darkness born of the pangs of separation from me. Their Lord, I, granting them the internal illumination of meeting me personally and destroy the darkness of their agony of separation. Beautiful. I mean, there's beautiful purport to it. It's a really, for the general interpretation is always given for the verse. Out of compassion for them, I situated within their hearts, dispel the darkness of ignorance with the radiance of knowledge. But if we appreciate pure non-calculative devotion, jnana shunya bhakti, the Lord's statement here may be again appear to be redundant and inconsistent. When those high devotees are already admitted to be performing continuous and unadulterated service, and even above that, they are situated in the plane of pure love, spontaneous and automatic raga marga. How can it be harmonized that the Lord will now, in the last stage of destroy their ignorance, tamaha, which is born from misunderstanding, ajnana, jam, by giving them knowledge, jnana. Jnana is only a cover, a futile, infinite conception of the infinite absolute. Jnana karmadi anavritam, bhakti uttamam. When they have achieved the devotion devoid of covering of knowledge, jnana shunya bhakti, how will they again have to return to the knowledge, jnana? In his commentary, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has mentioned that this knowledge is extraordinary, vilakshanam, but he did not enter into the specific detail. To clarify this point, we have given the following explanation. Lamentation and delusion are generally known to be symptoms of the mode of ignorance, tamaguna. In Jnana Bhakti, the elevated devotees who take Krishna not as the Supreme Lord, but as a friend, son, husband, and lover, will come to experience lamentation and delusion. But this is only an outward appearance of ignorance. In fact, it is the pain of divine separation. They lament, where have you gone? Where is Krishna? Where is Radhe? You know, He Radhe, He Vrajadevi Ke Chalalite. This verse in the by Srinivas Acharya, he writes this song. In this verse, the Lord's statement, Tesham Evanu Kampartam, generally means, fortunately for them, or to favor them, I dispel their darkness. But it may also be interpreted, I want their favor. I aspire for the favor of those devotees of the highest order. Then the Lord says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Mai Bhaktir hi Bhutanam Amritatvaya Kalpate Dishtya Yad Asin Mat Sneho Bhavati Nam Mad Apana. Devotion to me is the only means for the living being to attain eternal life. O gopis, by your fortune, your love and affection for me is the only reason for your getting my association. This is the general meaning. However, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishnadas Goswami has drawn out another inner meaning, which is just the opposite. Through devotion, everyone wants me to help them attain the highest position of eternal benefit. And if they have a connection with me, they consider themselves fortunate. But I consider myself fortunate because I have come in touch with the valuable affection that I found in your hearts. By my fortune, I got your association. You understand how deep the meaning goes?
Yeah, yeah, Prabhu, very powerful.
It's a beautiful purport. I have not read the whole purport, but still, it's about 3-4 pages of purport.
Wow.
It goes on and on and on. But the point is, only these 4 verses, Bhakti Rakshi Sridhar Maharaj has given purports. Or the rest of the Gita is more or less just translation of the verses. And he is the Siksha Guru of Srila Prabhupada. So just imagine how Prabhupada is empowered.
Thank you,
Anyhow,
Prabhu. Yeah.
any questions, comments after this?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my Danat Pranam to you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Yeah.
Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. We are not finding much purport, but still you're still explaining to us so nicely, and we're understanding, because sometimes Bhagavatam gets very technical with so many names and names, but then the nectar comes, learning comes, when we hear from wonderful speakers like you. So thank you so much for your association, Prabhuji.
Jai Ho.
I don't have a question because there's not much reading there, but I liked one point you mentioned about how in olden times why everyone stresses on sleeping early. So in olden times, actually, it was really a benefit to go with the sunlight, then with electricity that came. So that made things, nowadays also devotees say that by 9 o'clock you should sleep. But in fact, people slept earlier because there was no electricity, and they would rise early in the morning.
Yeah,
And with sundown, you sleep because there's no light, And Prabhupada ji also very clearly said that in our senses, what vision do we have? If the sun is not there, what is use of these eyes?
Yeah.
So how people in the old times were like nature based, na? And they won't have fridges.
Yeah.
They would Prabhuji cook fresh, and then everybody eat fresh food only, no leftover.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then how do they get up so early? Because the cocks they cook
That's alarm.
exactly at 4 o'clock. I know my daily experience. 4 o'clock when the cock is on, and I know I have to get up. Even the queen Rukmini Krishna,
Yeah.
she was angry at the cocks because when the cocks crow, Krishna gets up and immediately goes out for his meditation. So she condemns the cocks, or condemns Brahma for creating cocks. So
Yes.
the birds and the cocks, these are all the animals which are making the sound, because they know exactly at what time they are very active. They know now the sun will come up, and they're getting themselves ready to fly here and there to get their food. And even I've seen a few days back, we were having heavy winter this time, and you could not see any ants. But suddenly I noticed one place where we washed the plates, ants were coming there. Then I realized, oh, now the weather will change. It's already become warm enough for the ants to come out. So the other living entities, how they move and do that, the people relate to it. Nowadays we have an alarm clock, this, still we don't get up, because we are filled with tamagun, more
Prabhuji,
than.
How do they have this? How come we don't have, and these birds and others have this alarm clock in them, and even the birds who are migrating, like in the winter time, we have these lovely birds coming, and they adjust their body according to the temperature north and south of USA. So all these things they're much more advanced than us, right?
Yeah, therefore we have to take help from them. They're also having some service to do now. If they make the cuckoo sound, then they are meant to serve you. They are serving you by waking you up. Come on, it's time to get up now. Do Mangalarti. They don't do Mangalarti, anything like that. But we can do that. And they remind us.
Yes.
Of getting up.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one question is there which is not related to class, but can I ask you?
What is it?
The thing is that I've heard from somewhere that so many 33, some number is there, devtas reside in the body of human beings.